Good afternoon, everyone in Ask Angelika. This is Ask Angelika Live, episode 10. Good afternoon, Angelika.
Good afternoon, Stephen. Good
It's
afternoon,
good.
anybody else?
Indeed. Now, today we're talking about several things, the first of which is taking notes when studying German. And what's your advice on that? Should people take notes when using apps?
Well, that's a bit. The question was when you're using an app. Now, Duolingo and other apps are really designed to you just work your way through, and you don't have to take notes. So that's fine. You can actually learn any language, not just German. You can learn a language by not learning any not learning any grammar or making any grammar notes or anything, but that takes time. So the idea with Duolingo, for example, is that you'll learn by making mistakes, and then Duolingo says no, it's wrong, and then you get asked the question again, and this time you think, oh, hang on, what did I do wrong? Okay, one must be number two then, and then you find out it was wrong again, and you just keep on being asked the same sentence, not always straight away, but sort of in succession in a way, until you get the right answer. And I've actually had that this morning. I'm trying to use Duolingo to pick up some Polish. Not very successful at the moment, I may add, but there were things in there that where I went wrong, and it kept on telling me it was wrong, and eventually I got the right answer. But to be quite honest, I have got no idea why I have got the right answer. Okay. Now, to me, that isn't the best way to learn it. So what I will do is, and that's a bit difficult when you're using it on the phone, but I will go back to that lesson and I will have a look. First of all, I will have a look at the notes that Duolingo actually gives, because they do give some grammar explanations, which unfortunately you can't access on the phone. So at least not on the Android, and I think that applies to the iPhone as well. So if you wanted to read Duolingo's notes, you need to go onto the computer and have a look where there are some basic grammar explanations. So I'm going to have a look at them, and we'll read through them, and then I'll make my own notes. Because I find that when I write things down myself, literally with a pen on paper, or right, if you don't like doing that, you can still do it on the computer, but you are typing it yourself or you're writing it yourself, it sticks better.
Oh, yeah,
so,
yeah.
So when I come to that same sentence, which I'm bound to will get back to, then at least I will have a better idea. That way, I'm speeding it up a bit. And I know when I teach a new group of German learners, I always say to them when they come across grammar for the first time, and they go, oh, no, I don't want to do it. Yeah, it's scary. And I say, well, I said, you can learn German without grammar, which is basically what you would do with Duolingo. But it takes such a long time to do it parrot fashion by just keep on repeating it over and over again. Grammar is the shortcut.
Yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily do grammar straight away, but once you've learned a couple of phrases in that and people begin to recognize that there may be some sort of pattern, then you can introduce the grammar, and you will then learn that, for example, going to the gender now, with German words, German nouns, that a certain group of nouns is always masculine. Now, once you've picked that one up, it will make it a lot easier when you come across any gender-related exercises later on. And if you write those notes down yourself, it will stick better than if you're sticking to Duolingo and just going over it parrot fashion.
So keeping notes reinforces the learning. Now, I want to come back to something you just said. You're a German language teacher, but you take languages on Duolingo. Which languages are you studying?
Last year I used Duolingo to refresh my Dutch. As a child, I have relatives in Holland. As a child, I spent lots of holidays in Holland and understood a lot and was able to speak it reasonably as well. And then when I moved to England, because at the time my English wasn't that brilliant, I concentrated on English because I live in England now and I want to be able to speak English properly. So my Dutch had disappeared. So I decided to use Duolingo to refresh my Dutch again, and I can read it fairly well. I'm not too sure about speaking, but the reading bit was the main bit at the moment, really, of last year that I wanted to do. So this year I thought, well, how about a new challenge? And as a language teacher, it is good, or actually as any teacher, it is good if you try and learn something new, just to remember what it's like when you're sitting at the other side of the table.
Yes.
You forget, as a teacher, you forget what it's like to be a student and sitting there and being scared and opening up your textbook for the first time and everything you see is just gobbledygook and you're supposed to learn this, and doing homework and everything else. So it is a really good idea. Now, I have the same problem as a lot of other people because my hours are so irregular, and I teach a lot in the evenings and the afternoons and everything else. It's very difficult for me to attend language classes. So I go and use Duolingo, but I use other things as well. And this year I decided very bravely, because I have some Polish students, and I thought it's really good for them to learn English, and I even had a Polish student who was learning German as well. So English and German, being a Polish national, I thought, I'm going to have a go. So now I've said it publicly. Oh dear. I'm going to have a go teaching myself Polish. I wanted to keep that a secret, actually.
Oh dear.
Because, yes, it's not very successful at the moment. And so I have now started, I haven't actually made any notes yet, but I will do that because I know that will reinforce it as well. But I've started using some other apps apart from Duolingo. Right. Just so that I can reinforce certain bits of vocabulary.
Well, that neatly leads us on to the next topic, which is mistakes in apps. Because
yes.
When you're learning, and you've got an app, you paid for an app, and the app's on your phone, you expect it to be right, don't you?
Yes, and we all make mistakes. I make mistakes. Textbooks make the amount of times when I use a textbook and I look at a sentence and think that's not right, and I realize I made a mistake, and then I correct it, and then I tell the students on page 25, the sentence 3, that's a mistake, that should be so and so and so and so. And I've made mistakes before in my online courses, but of course you normally don't notice them yourself. The mistakes in my online courses, students pointed that out to me, and they said, is that right? And I think, wow, what's that? And I look at it and I think, oh no, I made a mistake. I've forgotten to take a word out, or I left the wrong word in, or anything like this. And we need other people to tell us where the mistakes are. And the same applies to app. I came across a conversation in a Facebook group where somebody posted a screenshot. They used, I think it was a Memrise app, where they were supposed to speak to an alien bot. And this alien said, hello. So this person replied, Guten Morgen. So the alien then said, alles klar, tschüss. And then Memrise comment underneath was, are you confused? Well, your alien friend left because you basically told them goodbye. And this person thought, that's not right. So he or she, I can't remember now, posted it in the group and said, where did I go wrong? And a couple of people started to speculate, and they said, well, maybe you did say, oh, Guten Morgen. No, Guten Morgen means good morning. But the more they were discussing it, the more some of the people got confused. And if you come across a situation like this, if you can, I know on Duolingo you can, I don't know about Memrise, don't know about this bot, but if you can, flag it up and query it. And just saying, are you sure that's right? And At worst, you won't hear from them, or they get back to you and saying, well, sorry, actually, you are wrong because so-and-so and so-and-so. But hopefully they will get back to you and they're saying, well spotted, thank you very much. I found some mistakes in Duolingo. I tried the German Duolingo. I wouldn't find any mistakes in the Polish Duolingo, certainly not for a long time, but I actually found some mistakes on the German Duolingo on the sort of higher up. As it gets more and more complicated, there were some mistakes, and I queried it with Duolingo. I didn't hear from them for quite a few months, but they did get back to me and they said, yes, we agree, and they've changed it. So apps make mistakes as well. And of course, the bad thing is if you're learning on your own and you don't notice it, then you're just learning something wrong. There's nothing you could do about. You could be learning something wrong from the teachers as well. I could be teaching you something wrong in German and not realizing it until 3 weeks later, and you may have stopped having German lessons by then. Well, that's just tough. So that's a danger that always happens. Usually, if a teacher makes a mistake, the teacher quite often notices it themselves and then corrects themselves, or we notice the mistakes in the books, or somebody in your German group will notice a mistake and query it. When you're learning on your own, that's the tricky bit then. So if you ever have any doubts when you do an online activity, let the people who make the app know, if you can, because it may just have been a fluke mistake that sneaked in and they didn't know anything about it. And if that is the case, they will then correct it, and it means that other people who come to the same thing won't see the same mistake. If you can't do that, then take a screenshot if you can and ask somebody else. Post it in a group, post it in Angelika, ask Angelika. If you come across a thing and you think like, that's not right, yeah. If you can take a screenshot, post it, and then we can have a look at it.
Indeed, indeed. So apps do make mistakes, and if you do get it sorted, you're actually helping not just only yourself, but other people as well. But it's disconcerting, isn't it? Because you expect a certain level, and nothing's ever 100%, and I take your advice on that. Now, it's the 10th of February today, and it's the 14th next week, which is Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day, yes.
And what's Valentine's Day like in Germany?
I'm not so sure about it now. I know when I still lived in Germany, which is now a few years ago, it wasn't really heard of. I think as a teenager, I read about Valentine's Day once in a book where the main character lived in a different country, and I'd never heard of Valentine's Day before. Things, of course, gradually have changed, and if you now Google, for example, Valentineskarte, you get a huge page full of images of German Valentine's cards. Good tip if you wanted to write your own and you need something to, or you want to make your own card and you wanted to write it at the front. Most of the German Valentine's cards say Alles Liebe zum Valentinstag. So if you wanted to make your own card, you could put that on there. Of course, that's only useful if you know somebody who speaks German who would want to receive a card like that. If you wanted to impress your teachers, maybe you want to write, oh no, probably not. A couple of years ago, I wrote a blog post about phrases that you may want to use inside a Valentine's card. We can add the link later on. But yeah, Alles Liebe zum Valentinstag is sort of what most cards write. And you can now buy them in Germany as well. But we'll find the link again to the blog post if you want some phrases to put it inside.
That'd be good.
Then you can write your own one.
Yes.
That's a hint for you now, Stewart.
I know, but I've already wished you. Never mind. Right. Okay. if there are any questions, and thank you, Peter, for joining us today, and for everybody who's watching live but not commented. If you do have questions, you are watching live, then you can pop them into the Facebook post now, and Angelika will answer them. It's February already, isn't it? Time's flying this year.
Yes, it goes all very quickly.
Yeah.
Soon be Easter.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, time is flying. Right, so I don't think there are any more questions. So, Angelika, if you'd like to say thank you to everybody.
Okay, well, thank you, danke, und tschüss von mir.
Und tschüss von mir. Bis später. We'll be back. I've got to do it in English. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time. Have a great weekend and take care.
Bye.